you.
I mentioned it too.
Right?
Some empty water bottles for show. You're on.
Yeah. We're what?
We're on!
We're on!
We're on!
No, we're not.
Cushy in the microphone.
I'm
Hi.
not trying this again. For the last 10 minutes, it's been, oh, you're on, and then it's, ah, ha, 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 watch Ali, he thinks he's on camera. Whatever, guys, you guys can all, whatever.
Just fun doing
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all
Well,
coming to them through the smoke though.
we're on. Hey, everybody. Apparently we're on.
We're on.
Nice. Who's Ron anyway? Welcome to the show. I'm Marijuana Man. It must be Wednesday. If it's not, then you live a long way away from here. So, that's okay, though, that you do. So, welcome to Wednesday. It's from Under the Seed Desk, and we are from Under the Influence. So, yeah, another show. That's how it all works.
This whole, cool. Okay, now there's been clarification.
Joining me at the desk, as always, is Al the Alchemist and Kush Queen in between. And I say in between so you do not confuse them between Al the Alchemist and Kush Queen.
Hola, hola!
I was at the bus stop the other day, and I totally got confused for Kush Queen.
Hey, I've
So
seen you.
Thanks for straightening that out.
You're hilarious.
Well, as I was entering the building today, a young kid did a double take and went, he said, I've seen your podcast, dude. He said, I've been watching you since, no, from your show, In Session.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And he was just blown away and was really appreciative and thankful that we'd done all these shows and he watches all the time. And so whoever that kid was, I didn't get his name, but thanks. That
We
always...
didn't do it for you, though.
Yeah,
Just
that-
kidding.
Yeah, not for him. Not for him personally. I told him that. Yeah,
You made sure
I
you
said,
clarified that,
did
right?
it-
Okay,
didn't do
good.
it for you.
Good.
But it is very gratifying, I got to say, to hear that kind of thing that
Totally
people
is.
are watching and they appreciate what we're doing. And I don't know, kind of blows me away each time that I hear such things. But thanks for whoever that guy was. We're doing another show. This must be show 966, something like that.
Kind of sad we didn't do anything special for show 666, but whatever.
Yeah, that was a long time ago,
There's
though.
always next year.
Yeah. There's always the next 666 show. Now, we're busy here in Vancouver. Beautiful day here. It's like summertime, for gosh sakes. We are blessed
is.
to be in the land of sun and warm compared to the rest of the world, and we're
Shorts and a
thankful.
t-shirt.
Everybody's pretty worn out from Easter, though. Easter took its toll here on the people. It's very quiet here
I
in the
took this
city.
Easter off.
Did you?
Yeah, yeah.
I
No
never.
ham, no
you can't.
eggs.
I was very thankful.
Everyone.
Very,
Well,
very thankful.
so we're pretty busy here
you.
getting 420 stuff ready, and I do want to. I'm good for water. I do want to let everybody know that we can sure use some volunteers for 420. Jer, do we have a place for volunteers to contact us for 420?
Yes, volunteers can contact me directly at jeremiah@cannabisculture.com
Jeremiah@cannabisculture.com.
or go to 420vancouver.com and sign up on the volunteer sheet.
Or go to
Boom, there you have it.
420vancouver.com and sign up at the sheet there. But we could use a lot of help. It's a massive project that we put on each year, and a lot of it, and none of it actually can be done without the volunteers that show up. You're not really a volunteer. We will grease you hard all day with stuff. All right?
Yeah.
So
Get lots of
lots of
free weed stuff.
free weed type things all day long, and at the end of the day. So if you are going to be in Vancouver in and around that time, or you're a local, come on down and try and sign up for that, would you please?
And if
So-
you're in town and you're coming into town early, April 17th at Fortune Sound Club, the West Coast Smokers Bowl. Check out fortunesound.com for tickets or myeden.ca for tickets. And Snoop Dogg's going to be doing a 2-hour DJ set, and there's going to be lots of Lots of weed and weed-related stuff.
Ooh, sounds like a lot of fun.
Weed,
It is. It's going to be a blast.
weed
Literally.
and weed-related stuff.
Yeah.
Well, we do have some weed-related stuff
We do.
here with us in the studio today,
Got weed
and
You?
weed-related stuff.
yeah, we're taking a look here now at the great book of Hashish by the renowned Lawrence Cherniak, who happens to be sitting right here on the couch.
Yo, yo, ho! Thank you!
Books of hashish, if I may.
The great books of hashish, yes. There's a trilogy that is out there in the world. I've certainly looked at them all, and years ago when the very first one came out, I drooled over it incessantly. Yeah, welcome, Lawrence.
Thank you, Greg. It's a pleasure always to have you hosting me. I appreciate it.
Good to have you in the house, and thanks for these books, you know, like a long time ago. And
Thank you
everybody I
Thank
know.
you for your kind accolades. Go ahead.
Yeah, really. Like
It is-
that's where it, you know, that was
Well,
one
it
of the
become
very
more
first thing
significant
that
as
we
time
could
goes
look
by.
at, right?
You can imagine what it was like for me before I started it when I had the idea,
Well,
the concept, and the theory.
when was
Life is a
when
theory.
was that? Like what
It
years?
was in the 1960s.
In the 1960s, you were traveling around in the world.
I was traveling, not wandering. That's right.
Yeah, and
I-
in the lands of hashish.
Well, no, it started all because I was interested in making cigarette papers because of bamboo cigarette papers, who a lot of us remember, the Cheech and Chong album, Bamboo.
Absolutely.
So anyway, I went over to Spain to meet the people at that company after having corresponded by fax, which is all you could do in those days other than telephone. And because of another artist friend of mine had a place in Ibiza, which was not far from the town of Alcoy, where they made the bamboo papers. So I was able to spend time in Ibiza and became a part of the Ibiza scene. And, you know, did incredible things there, like sometimes hundreds of us all playing music together, or going with my main host there, who you look a little like, as a matter of fact.
Huh.
I'm happy to point at you like that because he's a very special memory to me. So Henry and I would play music together with sometimes one or two other musicians at various restaurants on the weekends, and they'd feed us our dinner with whoever was with us, and we'd have a great time that way, or else I did great massages in his peluqueria.
Right.
At the bottom, oh, I can hear the difference
there you
there.
go.
That sounds better. Thanks.
Oh.
So at his barber shop, so I was doing massages for some of the people came through, and a lot of people knew him, and he played the most beautiful flout in the world.
So how did that lead you to the world of hashish?
So while I was there, of course, there's hashish in Ibiza,
Right.
and it wasn't
Coming
long.
from Morocco.
Lots from Morocco. But it was, well, that's interesting that we are touching on this story, because it was there that, of course, I had heard all these stories when I was younger and in my early days of these Royal Nepalese temple balls, which is, you know, the creme de la creme in
Yeah.
everybody's mind, and was supposed to be. So, and most of the pieces of hash that anyone ever saw, in terms of it being so appealing and demanding your attention, looked like something torn off the bottom of someone's shoe. You know, it looked
Yeah.
like a piece of sole or a piece of the heel or something. And you'd say to yourself, now how can that possibly be something appetizing or so special that people call it a talisman and magic and a miracle and, you know, something that I've learned is not going to save the world, or not that it can save the world, but has been saving the world for centuries. So it's been saving the world for a long time.
Yeah, yeah.
And thanks to it, now we have something that ultimately I had to go to Nepal to get right back to the story, right, and go on with it. So you see we're spreading out in a few places here, but that's okay. It's like music. You know, we can go back and forth from what we're playing in different phrases, and that's what we'll do now. So anyway, I ultimately went to Lebanon, but before that I actually had gone to Nepal. So when I was in Nepal during the time of Didi Sharma, who ran the Eden Hotel and Restaurant, It was absolutely awesome.
The very famous hashish poster from the Eden.
That's right,
out
some
there
of
in
them.
the
No,
world.
and had calendars as well.
Yeah.
And they're in my books, some of his menus as well.
Yeah.
And ultimately what had happened was he was very impressed with me because I wanted that kind of a Royal Nepalese. And he kept on opening these 5-gallon cans, and every one of them were pieces of hash that had mold or something, or they were wet, but you could see if they were left in that can, they were going to have mold in no time. And anyway, after 3 or 4 days of this, he started getting a little tired of me because, it wasn't the hash that I was looking for. So ultimately, I felt on that day, okay, I got to blow this guy's mind a little bit. So I took out, as it happens, a package of the cigarette papers that I had made in Spain, and I showed them to him like this. That didn't impress him much. But when I flipped it over and showed him the purple cigarette papers, the purple zonkers, which our friend Chris Bennett did a nice thing with on an interview with me, and showing them in Jane Fonda and how she used them in Clute. So as a result of me giving him a few papers, not even a package, that suddenly impressed them that I would have something that was to do with smoking. So that happened again 3 or 4 days later when I took out a package of leopard skins, because I could see I was losing his very love you, Chad. Don't worry, friend. We'll take care of you. So as a result, after about a week and a half, one of my guides became closer and closer with me, and as we developed this spiritual thing, ultimately we would be walking through the streets and kids would stop because I was getting a reputation already of the guy who couldn't be pleased, some Canadian guy, and kids would come up to me, and young men, and they would say, Sati, I've got just what you're looking for. I heard you're looking for the best. And I say, yes, I am looking for the best. So they would hold out to me, and it was terrible looking, and I could tell right away this was not what I'm looking for. So they would say, okay, Sati, I'm sorry I bothered you, but can I have a couple of those cigarette papers? So then I was getting this reputation around town. Ultimately, my number one collaborator, I wouldn't call him a guide anymore, my number one collaborator, was rolling a ball because he understood that we had to have this ball that was so perfect, because nobody in the world had shown me anything like this. So he shows me this ball, and he says, here, Lawrence, is this close? And I said, no, but it's very close. And I took it, and in 5 minutes, I had it looking like what my imagination had visionized. And he looked at me and said, oh, my God, Lawrence, you're the only person in all of Kathmandu who has such a ball. And I said, no, Kali, you're wrong. I'm the only person in the world who has such a ball. And that's where it started. It didn't take long before I came to have to accept the fact that I was not going to get to any photos of anybody making hashish that way, and that I had to buy the hashish and then hire some coolies who would come to town from the mountains, because they were in Kathmandu for a day or two, right?
Yeah.
Strong and healthy guys who were carrying knapsacks. And we would have sessions and bring a press from wherever and break up that hash that we saw, that I was describing to you, that we know. And and we would be pressing, boy, and some of them guys could make a beautiful ball in 5 or 10 minutes. I got it down to 4.5 minutes. I could make a beautiful ball from that rough stuff. And other guys had hands they could not possibly ever make good hash because of the moisture that was coming off their hands.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that was really awesome. And then I got to take the photos any way I like, because it was my hash. Yeah. And I wasn't imposing on anybody's kind graciousness or the courtesy that they were extending to me.
So your great books of hashish deal with many regions and all of the regions of the hash making world.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the beginning of that. Jeremiah was giving me some coaching. That's okay. Go ahead.
Well, the books deal with certainly all of the hash making regions of the world. So as you moved around through from region to region, did you have to start from square one, make your contacts, go from there? Did you
sometimes I had friends
the
there.
way because of the hash world?
Sometimes I had friends there who really made a difference.
Is there a big connection between the hash worlds?
No.
Like they're all pretty separate.
Not to the ordinary person. If you start to get into the dealings of the New World Order and all of that stuff, then, it's all connected under the Rothschilds to get right to the point.
Yeah, yeah. But
And more people are knowing that, but not that many more people are have the braveness to talk about it the way I do. And I must.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So I was going to tell you about Mexico, the kind of thing, and how knowing somebody, another beautiful example of the things I am so grateful for. So I meet this guy at the Museum of History in Mexico City, and he gives me this guy's name because he just loved what I was doing and loved my cigarette papers, of course, and sent me to this guy named Raul Fernandez in Oaxaca. And I've heard all these things, and I'd smoked Oaxacan weed and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And the temple that's there is awesome. So anyway, I went there, made friends with him, and blah, blah. And we got to do all kinds of photography markets that they made for me of all kinds of selections and stuff like that. Had a real great time, maximum enjoyment and pleasure, and living at that square in the road where the butterflies migrate from Canada all the way down to Oaxaca and swarm the monarch butterflies in the trees that are at the front of his lawn. But it's a
Wow.
long way to his lawn on this circular road that went by. So he arranged for me afterwards to meet a guy who was the captain of the roads from the infantry and military point of the government, who wrote a beautiful letter for me to tell anyone who encountered me in these areas that were where there was contrabandistas, right, and illegal activities going on, that they should not mistake me as being one of them, because I was an international correspondent from High Times magazine, and if there was any issues, and I and my wife and all the rest of that, everything was cool, and that we could be in touch with him if anyone had any questions.
happy 420.
Oh, good.
Gets a phone call at 420.
Well, I'm not thinking about those things. I hardly carry a phone with me.
Well,
Okay, so as a result of that happening and the relationship I built with him, it wasn't long till he introduced me to cops who took me up in airplanes to take aerial photographs of where they knew there was fincas with plantations. And ultimately I said, well, listen, because by this time I had met Richard Evans Schultes, who was the director of the Botanical Museum at Harvard University. And the reason I had to meet him was because Michael Aldrich had sent me there, who had written the introduction to that first book, because I discovered a kind of a trichome that no one else had ever seen and had not been known to the cannabis plant before. So nobody could tell me what it was. Ed Rosenthal couldn't tell me what it was. Connell Clark couldn't tell me what it was, because we were all with the same publisher in California,
Right.
which was Andor Press, and a guy by the name of Sebastian, who just had the greatest houses. He gave me his whole home for a summer to do the book in, and he would come every night. I'd put out balls of the Royal Nepalese hash, and we'd smoke our heads off and write the captions. And during the day, I'd assemble all the layout and all that stuff. So as a result of all of that going on and that whole community of energy, Schultes was able to ultimately take Gordon Wasson to Oaxaca, Albert Hoffman to Oaxaca, and introduce them to Maria Sabina. So I found out about Maria Sabina, and I told my friend, and he said, don't worry, man, we take her there. So it was arranged, and I got to meet Maria Sabina. She poses for me in book 2. I mean, she...
Maria Sabina's the magic mushroom queen or
That's
whatever,
right.
right?
Yeah, and here she is posing for my camera with the mushrooms in her hand and some of her clothing, and I have hundreds of photos of her and her dog as well. So there, can you see that? There she is. There are hundreds of photos of her, the dog, and all that. And she gave me some of the clothing that she made,
Nice.
because I came to her from the right people.
yeah.
Right? So
Well.
sometimes knowing the right person and getting along with them, because it doesn't matter who you know if you don't get along with them.
Well, exactly. Well, it's some wild adventures back in the earliest of
No, it's
days.
still going on.
Well, yeah,
Okay,
of course.
Absolutely. Incredible.
No, but I mean,
Absolutely.
just for you in those days. Wow.
Yeah, but I got very used to it, but it's amazing how there were times when I still did not learn the lesson the right way.
Well, yeah.
Like that very
not
first
easy.
time in Nepal, having to pay for the hash. I mean, ultimately, the same thing happened with me in Peru with cocaine. So I bought the base, and the guys made it, and I made it with them. So I got a first-hand thing, and as much time as I liked photographing it all as I liked,
Yeah.
or videoing it.
Cool.
Yeah,
Well,
very cool.
Yeah, we have pored over your books over the years and have certainly enjoyed seeing it all. And some of us have had a chance to travel a little bit and try some of it out. And
Right. That's the
yeah,
idea.
so
Yeah, the idea was to encourage other people
no,
to enjoy themselves.
Lawrence and I do encourage everybody to get all of the great books of hashish and enjoy them as much as everyone else has.
Yeah, may everybody mature as gracefully through the years as the page with the pages in those books. I'd love
Yeah.
to write that.
Now you got a new book
Yes.
out on the shelves, and maybe Kush Queen would be kind enough
I'm always
to do some displaying. But yeah, you got yourself a coloring book out now.
That's right.
Just
It's
recently.
not myself, it's everyone's, as is this community. But
Wow.
I sure am the artist, don't miss. And,
lower.
you know, and
there's things
totally
in my way,
responsible.
Jer.
I started writing it, Greg, about 6 years, putting it together about 6 years ago.
Is that good?
And then I stopped because of production of book one of the Great Books of Hashish in 4 languages. It's because the one that you have up there, you can see on the cover, it does have 4 languages. The Great Books of Hashish, I mean, that you have.
This
Yes.
one
You
here.
see that? So,
noticed
so that's meant to be translated. And as you go through that, Lady Queen, you'll see the pages get more complex. You like that one?
Yeah, I really like
How's
this
that one? Was that
Yeah.
cool? So I've generated
this
that
one
in a
is
dozen different ways, okay? So I have a dozen
that a
different
lot.
coloring pages that could be 420. I could almost create a book of 420 with different ways of expressing the time.
It's wonderful.
Yeah, good fun. So as you go through it more and more, then you see more. That's one of the, after all, if I'm the artist who did the book, I should color in some of the pages, right? Hello?
I like
So these aren't just any old leaf
That's right,
outline,
sir.
though, are they?
No, it's not my style.
So
There's even-
there's more to each.
And those are
leaf.
some of the ones that are in the book. But there's a lot more than those.
There's,
But that, just to give people an
that
idea of
holds-
what they look like
Yeah,
originally as green leaves,
exactly.
or what they can do with them.
that. Exactly. I like that a lot. Inspiration.
And then the idea, like I was mentioning to you, Greg, is to really focus on the even-bladed leaves. You know, 2 blades, 4 blades, 6 blades. A lot of people have no idea, even after all this time, that there are such things as all those even-bladed leaves.
But each one of these has a listing here as to where that particular leaf was from
That's
at
right, yeah.
that time. A
Yeah, of
sativa
course,
leaf from near Newcastle, Ontario,
Right.
Canada,
And there
not
was a real good
Newcastle,
reason for, and
Spain.
there was a real good reason for it.
That's what
One
England-
from Bristol, England.
Right. Well, I've done all this traveling.
Cool. Well, that's
Ooh, the Bahamas.
that's different.
Yeah, I have way over 300,000 seeds in my bank of all kinds of genetics. I mean, a lot of multiples of the same one in many cases, of course.
Yeah. Cool. Well, where can people can get this book here at Cannabis Culture
That's right.
headquarters?
As of yesterday.
And I would have to say in the online store as well. And is there some other outlet that you have personally?
Well, I'll have it at my at my websites shortly. I mean, it only came out last week. I haven't had a chance to do hardly anything.
Oh, it's
yet.
that fresh.
Yeah, it's that fresh.
Oh, nice.
Right. So
Well-
I'm having a lot of fun with it, and I'm having to do so much artwork relative to it. I should have been somewhere else earlier today to have a banner printed for this thing that we're doing on Friday night at Godzilla.
Yes, you've
Here
got
at that dispensary.
something.
He's a good guy anyway. So
What's going on at Budzilla?
Budzilla.
We're
And
having raffles for a bunch of stuff.
where is that?
One of my books. It's at 27. Do you remember?
Isn't it Nanaimo and Kingsway?
That's right. Exactly. Good one.
2267.
Yeah, right at the corner there.
Which
And my
street?
friend,
2267
and my friend
Nanaimo.
from Dirty Dave Limited, he's donated a bunch of stuff for raffles. So we're going to have at least a dozen things raffled off tomorrow.
So this is on Friday,
On Friday.
and starting at 6:00
Yeah.
at Budzilla, and you're going to be in the house.
I'll be in the house.
Just kind
in
of
front
mass.
of this banner that I've designed and created.
Nice.
Yeah, of a bunch of these leaves, black and white, and then as they flow very nicely composed because I learned about composition. Obviously, my photos give an idea of my abilities at composition. And as a theater director, of course, composition of how the actors are on stage is of significance.
Nice.
And that's one of the things I learned when I started acting, of course. Cherniak, get over there to the right and don't upstage yourself. You're supposed to look out toward the audience.
Yeah, live and learn. Well, I'm real glad that you could stop by and join us today. It's good to see you as always.
Uh-huh.
And Friday night, Budzilla up on Nanaimo Street. Check it out. 6 o'clock. I thought you said it was the lunch.
Late lunch.
Oh, late lunch.
Stoner's lunch.
That's right.
Stoner's lunch.
Well, thank you very much for having me as usual. It's always a
Well,
pleasure
and
to
good luck with
cross
the new
paths
book.
with you.
And from my heart, I do say everyone check this book out because it be the fucking what started it all for most of us. I gotta say, brother.
Ones.
Yeah.
Right? And
Before that book, actually, there was no photos of hashish anywhere in the
No.
world. Not
No.
a photo anywhere.
let alone
There was
something that-
photos of hashish on a table in the background on the front page of the newspapers and the cops in the foreground. But nothing like what
Nothing like that. Yeah.
That electrified the publishing world. That has inspired so many people to record, to photograph, learn to make hashish. I mean, the trail
Yeah.
was so dim for me when I was out there. And
Oh, yeah.
dangerous. Really
And,
dangerous. I was considered to be a necrophiliac, for example. You know, any of those horrible, nasty things. That intimidates people a lot.
Yeah, man.
And some of my friends, you know, totally excoriated me and ostracized me, and you know, really made it hard for me to fulfill my dreams, which I had shared some of which on theatrical levels with them. But once I started, I got thrown out of Stratford for doing this, for opening the head shop, the first head shop in the world with that name.
That was like 65, 66,
Yeah,
something like
65,
that.
yeah.
65.
So I was at Stratford then, and because they'd heard about this, brought me in. Jean Gascon brought me in, and I was having such a great time there being in Richard III, and here was I, being an actor. Within 4 years of starting my acting career, I was at the Stratford stage after having seen West Side Story in Broadway, and I said to myself, that's it, man, we've got to do that. What a feeling. Wow, that must inspire people to say to themselves, my children have got to have an opportunity to fulfill themselves like this and know the real spirit of communication is that brings that love that we take care of future generations.
Yeah,
that
man.
we can have these enlightening experiences, which brings us now to the point where we're getting tired of, like we mentioned earlier, the Bilderbergs and the Rothschilds. And we've got this stuff going on with that space station up there that's absolutely incredible. And that's where our energy should be. And then everybody gets to live, and we get to thrive, survive, and really take off with what we know, how we have every awareness of every possible nanoparticle and can do anything we like and create. Have you seen what's going on that space station, if I may? It's absolutely awesome. They have 2 Canadian arms. You know the Canadian arms? You know what they do? Any idea, Greg?
I hope they're waving hello.
All right.
Hey?
Okay, so what they do is when
One's
they're
got a
modular...
joint in it, and the other one's just saying hi.
Rolling space joints.
They can shoot that, you know, they can poke at a hole. Right?
Yeah.
So what happens is a module comes up, or a space shuttle, they no longer dock to the space station. They're taken by that hand, and they're put into place digitally, so no turbulence can cause an accident.
That's what I
How
do.
great is Canada, right? So I'm watching this on television on the University of Washington State cable station. So here's the university, got a cable station. They go up to the space station twice a week. And here is Commander Peggy, who's been up there for more than 6 months to set a record. She's doing some little trivial maintenance of changing a valve. And they've got, now I'm seeing the walls of the passageways have got these brass rails every meter, so you can go along and stay horizontal and not always be floating in the air when it's time to read the instruments of what's going on with the ship, or you don't have to be buckled in, and
Right.
so you can see them that way. And then they have other ones down at the base here, so that for your feet that you can hook on, right? And then you can use your hands freely, and nobody wears shoes because when they're flying, Now they're flying, okay? So those people are flying in those corridors. They can touch something, and with depending on the way their last touch of the finger sends them on a trajectory. Okay, so here's the two Canadian
the
arms up there for
weightlessness.
Go Canada, and they've got this Japanese module coming up while these 7 guys are coming up to replace Commander Peggy and her Japanese guy, who is an example of, here's the Japanese being forgiven because his parents were in a concentration camp during the Second World War. So Japan, America, right? And here's the Japanese module is in one hand, and at the same time, for the first time, here comes the shuttle, and it's in the other hand. First time ever that both Canadian hands were working at the same time. Oh boy, was I lucky to see that.
Yeah, that's
So
pretty
anyway,
cool.
that's a nice note to...
Well, yeah, nice. Well,
Okay.
what's your webpage?
the Great Books of Hashish, lawrencecherniak.com, terrorists, stickersnotterrorists.com.
Nice.
I
Okay,
have a
well,
whole bunch of them. If you just look up my name, it'll...
everybody do check it out, and we're glad you could join us. Thanks very much.
Thank you again. Thank you again.
Our pleasure. So, Al's got a little song prepared.
I do. You guys ready?
Not to, not to put him on the spot.
Nah, I can't do it.
No, he doesn't.
Got nervous.
No, it's just not ready yet.
got nervous.
It's just not ready yet. I can give you like part of the chorus.
Well, we had
Just one sentence.
we had a pretty good jam night. Oh, I forgot to mention that the Chronic Susan here is filled with Romulan times
It's
Mikado.
funny, that's what I'm about to light up right now.
So we don't have the chat
Funny.
board here facing us today, so I can't see if Professor Ziggy's in the house, but that's where that came from. Not him personally this time, but
But
He
he is
came
he
up
was
with
one of
the
breeders
strains.
involved in that project, no?
yeah.
Yeah. Probably.
Long time
the
ago.
head breeder. I don't have it all prepared, you know. It's like Greg kind of jumped the gun. I told Greg yesterday, I was like, man, I'm working on this rock opera that's 486 minutes.
Is there really a time limit to how much time we have? And how much more time may I have?
We can't answer that.
I signed a contract.
Well,
Approximately how much more time?
I signed a contract.
It's non-disclosure.
6 months.
We've signed
6
a non-
months. A 6
we
month
signed a
contract.
non-disclosure with clocks.
So we do have a bunch of other people joining us here in the house. Want to say hello to all of them sitting over there.
Hi.
They're all
Hi,
pretty
lovely
fucking-
people.
They're all pretty quiet.
They're like not saying. They're like, yeah,
Sonia
right.
shy.
Let's just pretend we're not here.
So we
Jeremiah, can we get a chat by any chance? That'd be
How
lovely.
about you
to-
in the chat? Hey, did you put a link up today? Oh yeah, link was up.
Yeah? Did you get a picture of all of us today yet?
Did you get a picture of the link?
Did you tag Miss Kush Queen in it? Nope.
oh,
Did you put a picture of the link up on Canada's culture?
There's a
To
link
say,
to
hey,
the
I
picture.
put a link up. This is proof.
That would be great.
There's a link to the link. Okay, but yeah, there should be.
Eh?
So
Eh?
as we go along here, this is like show 900 and something. Each week we always see in the headlines that marijuana is poised to save something,
Yep.
right? So
Nope.
this week, the question is poised how the medical marijuana industry could help LA's homeless. Right? So when you read the story, you would expect it to say, well, if you can give marijuana to the homeless or keep them healthy, you could you actually use marijuana to make homes for them. You could
concrete
give them
houses.
clothes made from that very same
hemp-
marijuana.
hemp clothes.
But, of course, that was not the angle that the story might have
You
taken.
could all give them weed and say, hey, start
Sell-
selling grams,
sell
make yourself
weed
some
and-
money, buy yourself a home and some clothes.
But no, the angle they took, of course, was how much tax could be garnered from the sales of marijuana to help the homeless.
Holy fuck.
Now, in the story here, city
There's nothing wrong with that. I really think that's that's kind of an okay thing. But
Oh,
it's
yeah.
it's like
it's ludicrous.
it's like
actually,
really these municipalities.
but here's what's
Fucking
going
helped
on.
the homeless before, so it's like, yeah, let's like.
The city of Los Angeles is considering different funding sources to reduce the city's rate of homelessness. Last month, city officials approved a $2 billion housing project to be completed over the next 10 years. 10 years this is going to go on before it's actually going to help the homeless, for fuck's sakes. This is how sad politicians are. But I started thinking about it, and I thought, well, why doesn't the pharmaceutical industry get asked to help the homeless in Los Angeles, right?
Yeah.
No, and then I thought, well, hey, what about Hollywood? Hollywood's right there. And I looked up a couple things, and so I checked out the box office returns for Hollywood for last year. And domestic box office in the United States was over $11 billion.
So $1 billion a month, roughly.
Right. And on that list was, and I was thinking about how they might be able to help the homeless here. And on that list was the Hunger Games. I thought, oh, well, there's a...
Just the proceeds from the Hunger Games
Just
should be able to feed the homeless for like a couple years.
600
At least the 10 years until you get that program.
The Hunger Games took in $653 million. And there was another one called Home, a movie just called Home. And I thought, well, that'd be a perfect one to help the homeless. The home, right?
All the proceeds.
They
from this
took
film
in
go-
$386 million.
Wow. So $1 billion between the two of them.
So, yeah. So then I looked at it this way. I thought, okay, what about the top 5 grossing movies of last year? They took in $7.6 billion. Oh, my God. All right.
Wow.
Thanks, Lawrence. Right on. Okay. Cool. Enjoy your day. $7 billion. The top 5 movies. Now,
That is fucking nuts.
and that comes from only 2 different companies, Buena Vista and Universal Studios. Top 5 movies, $7 billion. So I thought to myself, well, why don't we say for the homeless in Los Angeles, well, maybe just give them 10%. 10%. There's 82,000 identified homeless people every day.
Even 0.8%.
Well,
0.8% is astronomical when you're dealing with those numbers.
well, you got 82,000 homeless identified in the city, so 10% is like $9,200.
Oh, really?
It's not that much.
No, that
but
isn't that much.
Still, that's damn near $10,000 per homeless person that could go into the system to help.
Mm-hmm.
But no, nobody does that. There's probably a movie called Homeless that grossed a bunch of money and didn't give them any money. Eh? I guess you gotta wonder. You gotta wonder.
You're hilarious.
So I don't know. Like, it's fucked up in the world, and now they're saying, oh, marijuana would be a really good source of income. Like, fuck off. Stop doing that. Stop thinking of this as a source of income for you. Like, really. It's not, I don't know, I don't hear the twittering about it so much in Canada, but of course, I don't know, Trudeau said it wasn't going to be a money grab, but we'll have to see what they consider a money grab to be.
Sure.
But everybody else thinks and wants it to be that way. So here's a historical moment here in the Canadian courts. The government isn't appealing a Supreme Court ruling. What the fuck? What are we gonna do with all that money we're gonna save on not appealing the decision? Hey, like Stephen Harper did in a heartbeat. Any Supreme Court decision, we're gonna appeal it. You go, really? What the fucking... But Ottawa has announced, and Health Canada has announced, that they won't be appealing the decision that came out around growing your own marijuana.
Nice.
But they're going to wait to see what the new rules and regulations are going to be, and they're
So
going to
they
be
might
very...
appeal that decision.
Yeah, they're going to be very thorough in the regulations, and right. So, but John Conroy was in that. He's going to be back in federal court on April 22nd to asking Justice Phelan, who made the ruling before, to expand the injunction so that all of the 38,000 patients licensed under the old rules are allowed to produce their own medicine until Health Canada crafts new regulations. So that'll probably be a yes, you can. So that Mr. Conroy, or John as we like to call him, and he said he promised the next fight between cannabis activists and Ottawa is going to be over the pot shops that have cropped up in BC. So that's fun. He's identified the fight, and he's our guy.
Scheduled for 3 rounds.
Yeah. So interestingly enough, now here's a thing.
I got a thing right here. Here, wait,
Here's
hang
the
on.
thing. This is a new study
All right, we got it.
I
that
swear there's nothing on his screen, you guys.
I got a new
He's
study.
just
Hang on.
doing it for show.
I'm pulling up a new
It's
study.
hilarious.
It's a
It's just a blank screen.
fake
He just
phone, eh?
he's just fake swiping and everything, like pretending to read. It's
Oh, where's the one about
quite
the
entertaining
rankings?
on my side.
well, I got it from my psychiatrist, right? She said, "Oh, take this. People think you're normal." I said, "Okay, see you next week." But heavy, persistent marijuana use impairs your social mobility and economic status.
That's not true.
Heavy, persistent marijuana use is what we do. Right? It absolutely is what we do. But they're saying that it impairs your social mobility. I wonder what that is. There's John walking around. That's pretty mobile.
Yep.
He's saying hello. How
And he was
soci-
being social. Hey,
Yeah.
did that cannabis
He said
impair
that.
your social mobility?
Yes,
It did.
significant.
Normally you would be cartwheeling through
Yeah,
saying hello in
singing.
verse. Like you entered and you're like you're clearly mobile, right? And you're clearly social.
You're talking about now? Or,
Yeah,
when
just
I
now.
first started?
No, just now. Just now.
Oh, is it? Not like it was. Not
So the answer is
Not
no.
like it
not like
was.
it was.
There. Well, we predicted
Those were the
that.
Yeah,
days.
you
Well.
could have put your foot in a cow patty and walked into the ballroom in those days, circus. But I personally was turned on by a bunch of symphony musicians. That blows my mind.
Some of them are very cute.
Rainbow John was turned on to cannabis by symphony musicians.
Turned on used to mean something different.
And that to me, they were the social elite of those days. To me, anybody who can play symphony music, and these were young people.
Yeah, they were all probably like into that punk rock like the Rites of Spring and stuff.
And still met those guys.
Real punk rock symphony, causing riots and anarchy in the streets. Those hophead cello players. The Rites
Well.
of Spring.
It's it's probably
I think they all had jobs forever, that they retired early, went to live in paradise. I don't know where they went to. The nice people.
but so John has just proven without a doubt that his social mobility was not and has not been impaired.
no.
But
Not in the least.
another problem with the heavy persistent, and speaking of persistent, another joint?
Hey, you want to pass me the
Sublimator.
there?
Yeah, we're smoking some fucking dank grease here today.
Yes, this is some of that hummingbird nectar.
This is some Angolan nectar
This one is Seedsman Haze.
that was gifted to me, and wow, delicious, delicious. You could have some goo if you want, but part of the problem,
There's always a
but here on the
There's
show.
always a but.
Uh-huh.
At least 3.
Here's what the story says. With the legalization of any substance, deregulating pot will involve a bunch of unknown public health and social implications. Like what a stupid sentence. With the legalization of any substance. I don't know. Has there ever been a legalization of any substance? Don't answer that, John. No, it was a rhetorical question. With the legalization of any substance, deregulating pot will involve a bunch of unknown public health and social implications.
Yeah, I missed that one.
Persistent marijuana users, this is us now, persistent marijuana users. Hey, that's what I am. It's
I'm
very,
pretty
I'm
persistent.
just persistent. Hey, persistent marijuana users had more trouble with credit, debt, lying to get a job, or intimate partner, lying to get a job, or intimate partner violence. Really? By middle age, they had also suffered from more financial problems and relationship conflict, in addition to more troubles at work. Really?
I don't know about that. Well, maybe the lying to get a job. Do you smoke cannabis? Have you ever smoked cannabis?
Yeah. There you go. There you
Not
go.
at all.
Never.
That's
and
an absurd
here's
question.
what they said: those with cannabis dependence, like my kids who I give weed
Yeah,
to,
yeah.
cannabis dependence. Those with cannabis dependence seem to have even more problems with debt and cash flow. Well, duh. Do you know how expensive weed is? Holy fuck! Prohibition prices. Right. Being able to, they have more problems with being able to afford food. People who are cannabis dependents. Holy fuck. Like, really?
You sure why not? Wowzers.
It's unbelievable.
That music is just banging over there, man.
Here's a guy.
Gangster rap going on over there.
It's like soundtrack for a gang fight.
Totally.
Now, here was a thing going on in Pennsylvania that you might have heard about.
I did hear about that.
Anything that happens in Pennsylvania,
I know.
hear about it.
I know. You have
Remember?
In Pennsylvania.
you have
Got that connection, Lauren, and
your Amish update.
right. Let him hear it. Let him hear it.
But in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, a Lancaster man has been charged with selling marijuana from his wife's daycare. So
I know,
Craig
It's crazy.
was charged with felony drug dealing after authorities raided the Jimboree family child care. Jimboree, spelled J-Y-M. Jimboree family daycare. And they seized 87 grams of marijuana with an estimated street value of $1,000, as well as $1,000 in cash. Investigators, though, they don't believe any children were harmed by this alleged crime. You had a drug dealer literally right upstairs of the daycare. It's very possible they could have seen something. We don't believe the dealing happened right in front of them. But who knows if they saw someone coming and going. That was
Because they don't come and go themselves that often at the daycare, right?
those kids might have seen
Kid will never be able to go
people.
to a shopping mall or anything. Never be able to look at
They
a door.
might have seen people. Hey? That was from Brett. Brett is a spokesman for the district attorney's office. So he was actually the guy who they chose to go and say that.
What the hell was that?
Old dirty bastards singing and screaming out there.
When did he get here? Jeez. Right? He's always with us. I like that. That was the best response.
So as more celebrities are getting into the pile of marijuana, diving into the baggie, if you will. Here's one, Larry Flint. Every guy in the room knows who that is. Larry Flint is the infamous face of Hustler magazine, adult entertainment empire. And he has gotten involved with a marijuana company named Pineapple Express.
Wowzers.
How
Right.
original.
No, this is for real. Larry Flint plans to launch the gaping pussy of marijuana.
Wow.
That's what he. Yeah, he's gonna be the doggy style of marijuana. Right?
It's
Yeah.
a dog cross.
Did you really say pussy gaping?
I-
Like, seriously?
I did, and I thought hard about it when I before I said
And I
it.
thought hard.
Oh my god! What the fuck?
Well, I wrote it down actually. See that?
Oh, gaping pussy. Oh,
Yes. That's okay. That's what I thought you said. So, we can look forward to more celebrities getting into. So I also saw just
And
before.
they're worried about the $1,000 at the daycare worth. Like, there's people calling this shit gaping pussy.
No.
Like, what a joke.
But just before the show, and I didn't have time to write a joke, but you might write your own. I also noticed that Whoopi Goldberg is also getting into the. So you can come up with the kind of weed that she thinks she's going to introduce.
Do it.
No.
Come on.
No.
No,
I'm
no,
not even
don't,
going there. No.
don't.
Come on.
I like
No,
her.
do it off air. No, it's a never-ending joy to read the marijuana news for me. Students in northern Kentucky are more likely to use marijuana, survey says.
Survey says.
Hey, the study was actually done in Greater Cincinnati. Study was done in Greater Cincinnati, which included northern Kentucky.
What?
Yeah, that's what it said. Further proof they don't know nothing about maps. No.
Cincinnati in northern Kentucky.
Cincinnati is right on the border of northern Kentucky. But a lot of kids are reported to moving to schools in northern Kentucky as a result, right? Northern Kentucky schools are a record sign-up for kids because the report calls age 13 a pivotal age.
It was
Eh?
for me.
Pivot.
Yeah.
Pivotal age.
Yeah, that's when I did LSD. Yeah, all kinds of stuff happened when I was 13.
It's a pivotal age.
It was a pivotal age.
Because this is when first drug use often occurs.
Oh yeah,
In
and second and
in
third and
students.
fourth drug use. Sometimes, like, yeah.
It occurs in students, it said. That's not true. It occurs to students, wouldn't it?
Well, I wasn't
Because
a
it's
student, I
when
was on
first
my-
drug
I was
use
on
occurs
those
in
summer
students.
holidays or something.
It occurred in you?
No. I wasn't enrolled.
Well, I went to high school in northern Kentucky.
That's hilarious.
More older people singing old songs.
Now, there's a whole bunch of hockey players in Lewiston. Don't know where that is, but it's somewhere in
Kentucky.
America. It might be, you know.
It's Lewiston, Kentucky.
Members of the Lewiston High boys hockey have been suspended for consuming alcohol and smoking marijuana after the team won the championship.
No performance enhancing
After they won the championship.
substances. That's it. They're like, fuck that.
The incident took place outside the home of a school district employee. Eh? The newspaper said. It's unclear how many players were disciplined, but an assistant to the superintendent of schools, Bill Webster, said, no, here's how it went. Lewiston athletic director could not be reached for comment, and the assistant to the superintendent of schools, Bill Webster, said he had left for home with an illness. So they weren't able to talk to anybody about it. But earlier, Bill Webster told the Sun, "We have fully investigated this incident and discipline has been administered in accordance with the policy. While I cannot go into the details..." Why can't he go into the... Why the fuck can't he go into the details? All it is he's an assistant to the superintendent of schools. Why can't the school go into details about what's going on in the fucking school with kids? What secrets do you have? Hey, what other details are you choosing not
What
to tell
happens
us
outside
about,
the home
Bill?
of an alleged school superintendent assistant? Is that what this guy is?
Yes.
Stays outside the home of an alleged school superintendent assistant. In, where is this place?
Lewiston.
In Lewiston, allegedly Kentucky.
But Bill did want to communicate that their investigation determined that the alcohol and marijuana use was outside the home and not known by the employee of the city. Really? Right? When it was happening. This is not. This
Were they
does
having,
not
like, a party
excuse
in
that
the
it took
garage,
place.
in the backyard. Where was it? Where was this party happening? If not in the
Webster
home.
Webster said it was a very disappointing situation. We will be doing a review, a full review of applicable policies
The
in
hockey
the
team
near
was like, hey,
future.
we're going to have a yard sale here, okay?
In
You
the
mind if we have a
near
yard sale?
future.
And they
Yeah.
just broke out the joints and the whiskey.
I say go.
happened.
I say go Blue Devils.
Yeah.
Secrets. They got secrets. In the
Lewiston,
school.
man. Lewiston's full of secrets.
Yeah.
They won't even let you know where they are.
Yeah. You don't
Lewiston.
even know where it is, and they
Could be
got these
Kentucky.
secrets.
Could be, who knows? Could be Louisiana.
Well, I hope not. Oh, there's the chat. Why did that get here? That
Romulan Mikado.
is Romulan Mikado. Can't you guys smell it?
Hello. Kush Queen question mark.
Very.
Yes.
Kush Queen?
Well, that was a pretty fun show.
Was it?
Yeah. No, well, not
Body.
this one, but
I wasn't sure. Yeah, I wasn't sure.
Not
if we were
this
having
one, he
fun.
says.
last night was jam night. It was
Was
quiet.
you jamming?
It worked pretty good.
J-Mac did rock it.
Yeah, a couple
Like,
different
seriously
ways,
rocked it.
2 or 3 ways actually.
J-Mac got an iPad. And, yeah.
He
rocked it.
It was a pretty quiet night all around, but some good rocking went on. You should check it out anytime you're in the city. Tuesday nights, don't forget, 8 o'clock
So now
in
that
the
the
lounge.
studio's here and stuff, how come we're not broadcasting that?
By them.
We could, someday, it could happen. But, yeah, things are going
So if
along pretty
anybody
good.
wants to kick down, they need some long-powered USB cables that actually function properly.
If they can send us to the ones that work, we've tried 2 different kinds of both haven't worked yet.
For
Maybe
long
we can figure
distance,
something out.
Maybe longer than 80 feet.
Well,
you
get your
need
tape.
80 footers with extensions.
Get your tape measures.
100
out.
footers,
Ooh,
just to be safe.
The longer,
Powered
the better.
180 footers.
Yes, put mileage, yeah.
Well,
With a Ferris wheel.
all right.
And Starbucks.
I do appreciate everybody joining in for the fun, and thanks to Lawrence Cherniak for joining us today. And as well, Jeremiah was in the house flipping the switches, and Alyssa was here doing something.
She's
There
over
she
there.
is. She still is.
There she is. Hey, girl.
Her,
Twisted knobs.
her head over there in the control room. She's in control. So if it seemed out of control at any point, that's her fault, not ours.
That was the first Iron Maiden shirt
We've
I
all
ever
got
had.
earpieces in. She tells us what to do and say. So yeah, thanks a lot for everybody joining us in the chat. Hope you had fun. And everybody out there watching, stay high and dry.
Why? There's no rain out there.
Not yet.
Not yet. But we do live on the West Coast, so it is inevitable.
But
It is a
Inevitable.
rainforest, you know.
we'll tune in next week. We'll try to be here. And
There's a show next week?
Yeah.
What?
We'll try to be funnier too. Sorry about that.
Impossible.
Yeah, if we can be funny.
I'm not gonna try.
All right, well,
If it happens.
have a good week.
Bye.
See you next time. I'm Marijuana Man. This is Al the Alchemist. This is Kush Queen in Between. And we'll see you next time. Peace and pot.